Hey guys, Rafe here from Evolve Move Play. Today I want to talk about the importance of learning to fall well. So essentially, the comfort that you have with a skill is often based on how likely you feel like you are to fall and how dangerous you feel like that fall would be. So a jump that you would do on the ground very easily is a jump that you might do at height with, great caution. So learning to be able to control all the different options that could happen to you when you fall is a really basic way to kind of buffer what you can do and make yourself way more confident in general. In a sense, failure is really the foundation of success, and this is true not just for your movement practice, but really actually for all of your life. The more comfortable you are falling down, the more you can leap after a challenge. With my kids, I've been watching them learn to fall from a very young age, and what I realized is that for a human, fundamentally, the start of falling is from a sitting position. So when you're a small baby, all you can do is basically lie down and roll over. You can't really fall from here. However, as soon as you can sit up, as soon as babies sit up, they're falling all the time. So learning to be comfortable with falling can start right here, and this is a very easy and safe environment for anyone to start with their falling practice. The basis of good falling is being able to distribute your weight over time and area. So if I start to fall and I put my hand down and I have a stiff arm and it's all going into this one little area, that's when I'm gonna have a high propensity for injury. However, if I put my hand down, roll up my arm, roll up the side of my body, now all of a sudden I've distributed that force over all of this different structure of my body and over a long time period. So this is why a roll really helps soften a landing, and this is why good fallers, you'll see, always avoid putting one limb out and extending it. So the first basic drill is from a seated position, just fall sideways. As you do that, focus on being able to keep your shoulder away from your hip so that when your hip lands, your shoulder is going to land kind of much later than your hip. So start with that, just do that 5 times. Once you've done that 5 times, make sure you do it, come back and watch the rest of the video. Once you've done it 5 times, you can start thinking about the roll of the hand. So the hand can be dangerous because if we get that hand trapped there and we land on top of it, or if it's stiff, then we can injure ourselves. However, our hand can help us absorb the ground, and it can tell us a lot about where the ground is and help us interpret what's happening with the ground. So what I like to think about the hand is make sure that wherever you put your hand down, your body still has room to fall past the hand. And so the hand sort of joins the hip and becomes part of that chain of falling. So again, try this 5 times on each side, and then come back. So the next thing that we want to focus on is how we orient our legs as we finish our fall. So if you've noticed, I've been finishing in a consistent position. I have one leg extended, I have the other leg tucked in close to my hip. What this does is expose the whole side of my body to the ground and allow this leg to absorb starting with the ball of the foot. If my foot is down here, I'm going to crack my heel against the ground. If it's crossed over here, it's dangerous if I'm a man because I can smash my genitals. So I want this foot turned this way, coming into the ground here, soft all the way up the leg, and this hand here. Hands close to my waist, this hand crosses over. And it's very important that my head is directly over my shoulder so that my shoulder can cushion the head and prevent the head from hitting the ground. As soon as I start rolling even a little bit backwards, all of a sudden, now my head can hit the ground, and that can be dangerous. So this is that basic posture of a break fall. So we're just learning it by falling sideways. Try it 5 to 10 times on each side until you get comfortable, and then come back. So once you're comfortable with falling backwards, or falling sideways, sorry, the next step is to learn falling backwards. So once my body is falling backwards, what I want to do is turn and go right to the same position. Sometimes if you're falling backwards very fast, if your feet are taken out from under you, you're just gonna have to reach out with both hands, create the same relationship, and try to make your body round and tuck your chin in. This is a more advanced fall. We don't want this to be your default. We want you to be looking for the ground and falling to a sideways position as the default. So we'll worry about the back fall later. With the side back fall, all I want you to do is go to the exact same position by feeling the fall start and looking to the side and going to the exact same position. Once you're comfortable with those, see if you can do them from different seated positions. From a pike, from a straddle, from your knees going sideways, though you can't do that going backwards, and then from a squat. So when I'm going from a squat, I'm gonna collapse my leg to the ground, hand goes to the ground, and finish in the same position. And then as I get more comfortable, and eventually I can work on imagining this leg has been taken away from me and I don't have the option of hitting it. So that's, as you might find if your foot was swept or if you've caught your foot on top of an object as you've been doing your movement. We go through the same progression, going backwards, turning, hitting the ground, and then swinging the leg up and hitting the ground. So those are the back and side falls. Once we're comfortable with doing them from a squatting position, we're gonna work on doing them from a standing position. So we can start from a slight squat or all the way. Again, I'm gonna try to collapse down through my leg and hit the ground. And then I'm gonna try to be able to do it without that leg there to support me. And the same thing, once again, going backwards. So try that on both sides going backwards 5 to 10 times. Make sure you're comfortable with it and then come back. Once you've gotten comfortable with the forwards and backwards movements, we're gonna start talking about rolling. So with rolling, it's actually easiest to get comfortable with this going backwards. So once I've fallen into my back fall position, if I'm falling from high, there's going to be a lot of momentum. What I don't want to do is have that momentum trap my head against the ground. So when I'm here, I can either kick out and get really straight here to kill that momentum, or I can accept it and I'm going to switch shoulders. I'm going to go from this shoulder to this shoulder by looking over and going over my hand. So the lazy man's way to do that is to stretch this arm out, look over your shoulder, swing this hand over your head and your legs over your head. This is what we call a long arm roll. So practice falling backwards, lifting your legs up, touching on the ground. You can practice that before you go all the way over. Just lift up, touch, and come back. And then you can leave that arm out and come through. Once you're comfortable with that, you're gonna work on being able to go from landing on your belly to landing on your knees. And obviously, once we're moving really dynamically, we don't wanna land on our knees, so we're gonna work on doing that right to our feet. As we get to our feet, you'll notice that my hand came in. I didn't actually intend that, but it's natural to do that because it gives us an easier, more effective position to finish from. So as I go over my shoulder here, instead of leaving this arm long, I'm gonna tuck this hand to my shoulder, and then I'm gonna roll up across it. So, falling down and going across that shoulder with the hand tucked in. So this is our more dynamic roll. Once we're comfortable with this, we can start doing the same thing forwards. So the forwards roll is just the same backwards roll that we just did, only in reverse. Now I'm gonna get my head out of the way, put that shoulder on the ground, roll across to the opposite hip. So I can end in the same basic breakfall position that we've worked on this whole time, and that's the safest if we just need to stop, or I can just tuck this leg in, come up here, and come up to a stand. When we're going sideways, there's a variety of different rolls that we can do, but the most basic one is just going to be the same as the backwards roll. So I'm falling to the side, rolling across my shoulder, and coming up. So that's the sideways, backwards, and forward rolls for your break falling practice.